tonight's big stories. President Marcos imposes a price ceiling on rice across the entire country following an alarming increase in prices this year. But what happens when you interfere in a free market economy? We'll discuss.
Speaking of alarming price increases, LPG prices jumped nearly 7 pesos a kilo, with dealers warning of more hikes in the coming months as Western countries stockpile for the winter.
And why are we all still getting text message scams even after our SIM cards have been registered? We'll put that question to DICT Secretary Ivan John Uy, who is joining us live in the studio later on.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Sean Yao.
All right, let's talk about rice. And no, it has not gone down to 20 pesos a kilo yet. Were you waiting for that? That's why you're looking at me.
It is times 2, 20.
Yes, exactly. So where we're at right now is about 40 plus, right? But Malacanang is stepping in to keep prices from going up any further. President Marcos has issued Executive Order number 39, setting a nationwide price ceiling for regular milled rice at 41 pesos a kilo and well-milled rice at 45 pesos a kilo. The Agriculture and Trade Departments recommended the price cap after retail prices of locally produced and imported rice went up last month. Price of regular and well-milled rice in Metro Manila range from anywhere between 42 to 56 pesos a kilo as of late.
I have ordered in the EO that I signed yesterday, so that to make sure the prices stay within the limits that we have prescribed. Now, the real problem is in NCR. It's not so bad outside of Manila, Metro Manila. That's why maybe we will be focusing our efforts in Metro Manila.
Do you guys think that President Marcos heard the wishes of Senator Cynthia Villar? Exactly
because we
1
had
week ago.
her in the studio. You're right, exactly a week ago.
And she said, she suggested putting a price cap on. Gretch, you were at the FIBA opening that day. But she did say that. So let's watch the clip and let's hear it from Senator Villar herself.
I think the president should implement a price ceiling. Kasi I don't think the traders will lose money even if there's a price ceiling, because the cost of rice has not risen. When they said that the Vietnam will increase prices of rice and India will not resume exportation of rice, that send a signal to the traders that they can ask for more, and they are now asking for more. But really, the price of rice hasn't risen.
Exactly. That was exactly what President Marcos has just imposed, which is a price ceiling. And also, Senator Villar was saying that the problem was the cartels in the country, the middlemen. They're the ones causing an artificial shortage of rice, according to her. May supply naman daw, but they hold back stocks.
So although we know pagka may price cap, that also has an effect on the market,
exactly,
on free market.
Yeah.
At saka yung effect niya, magkakaroon din ng effect dun sa mga middlemen, di ba? Because they can still play around even with that price cap on. So it could actually prove to not be as effective or have the desired effects as the president wants.
But there is also a purpose for price caps, I believe. Meanwhile, the government insists that rice supply remains stable and sufficient. In light of that, problema lang daw talaga, gaya ng sabi ni Rich, yung hoarders at price manipulators. So let's see what this executive order plans to do about this. For one, the president gets to say how long this price ceiling lasts. EO number 39 remains in effect unless lifted by Marcos upon the recommendation of concerned agencies. Rice warehouse inspections will be intensified. The Bureau of Customs will be in charge of that. Also helping the DA and the DTI crack down on rice cartels is the Philippine Competition Commission, as well as the PNP and other law enforcement agencies.
And yet another thing that we have to point out is that this price ceiling does not cover special and premium rice. Para malinaw lang, no? Linawin lang natin yon. So now that that's clear, the Trade Department has said that imposing a price ceiling is very much needed at this point. Here's the words straight from Trade Secretary Fred Pascual.
Lalagyan natin ng ceiling para maiwasan yung nangyayaring manipulasyon sa merkado, no? na kahit na merong supply, tumataas yung presyo.
This price cap is also getting support from Congress. House Speaker Martin Romualdez said that it is a timely and necessary intervention, which the lower house is supporting. And from the upper chamber, Senator Francis Tolentino said it's an appropriate response for now, but in the long term, something has to be done to improve local rice production.
There is, however, stiff opposition to this idea too. The Federation of Free Farmers said a ceiling may not be enough to bring down rice prices and might even force retailers to stop selling altogether. Makabayan Bloc Congresswoman Arlene Brosas believes it's a desperate attempt to hide the administration's failure.
Desperate move to quell the people's mounting frustration over his failure to deliver his campaign promise. Kasi ang sinabi niya, 20 pesos per kilo ng bigas.
Former Senator and Agriculture Advocate Kiko Pangilinan also weighed in. He said farmers will suffer while traders will only cut back on releasing stocks. While policymakers and stakeholders debate the issue, the small-time sellers are getting caught in between.
Paano naman yung puhunan namin, inabili namin yan ng mataas. Sana naman, hindi kami ang pagsabihan ng executive order na yan, kundi yung mga supplier namin o kaya yung mga trader na huwag silang magtaas ng grabe talaga ang taas nila.
Ito, taas presyo pero walang price ceiling. Hopefully magkaroon pero hindi mangyayari yun. Effective today, LPG prices have gone up by almost 7 pesos a kilo, while auto LPG prices went up by almost 4 pesos a kilo. This means an 11-kilogram LPG tank now costs over 1,000 pesos. Demand for LPG usually increases during the burr months, so expect even more price hikes soon. Pump prices are also expected to climb again next week. According to an initial forecast, diesel prices could go up by about a peso per liter, while gas prices could see a 50 centavo per liter increase.
To discuss these movements, we'll be speaking later with former NEDA chief and UP School of Economics professor Winnie Monsod.
For now, let's move on over to the weather. Let's check in on these typhoons around the country. After battering northern Luzon in this past week, Super Typhoon Saula, locally known as Goring, is now approaching Hong Kong, where authorities have raised wind signal levels to 9. Joining us now from Hong Kong is News 5 desk editor Carla Bonifacio to give us the latest from the SAR. Carla, hi. Thanks for joining us. Tell us about the situation there. Malakas na nga ba yung hangin, yung ulan, at balita ko, no, kani-kanina lang, signal number 8 ngayon, signal number 9 na.
Yes, Sean, hello. Sean, as you can see, the wind here is so strong that Hong Kong Observatory had to raise a typhoon signal from signal number 8 to signal number 9 at 6:20 p.m. The rain is not too heavy as we were expecting, but with this kind of wind, it's really dangerous for people to be roaming around the city. Actually, Sean, we saw a few people walking around with umbrellas, but to no help because their umbrellas are turning upside down. So it's really less rain, but stronger wind.
Carla, para lang mas maintindihan natin, yung signal number 9, ano ba yan sa Philippine weather signals? Kasi sa atin, parang yung 9, teka lang, we've never heard of that, right? We're always at the 2, 3, 4, 5. Oo, so para lang maintindihan namin, ano kaya yan sa Philippine context?
Yeah, actually, Sean, for us, like tourists, it's already my 6th time here, and this is the first time na narinig ko yung signal number 9. So I was expecting super heavy rain, super strong wind. But dito kasi sa Hong Kong, ang signal number 8 nila is kapag strong wind. So they're more into looking into the wind direction instead of heavy rain. So sa atin, if i-compare mo in the Philippines, signal number 9 is signal number 3 or signal number 4 in the Philippines.
Alright, Carla, currently, no, itong si Bagyong Saula ay nandyan na sa eastern tip ng Hong Kong. May papakita kaming graphic kung nasa na eksakto to. Si Saula o kinilala natin dito bilang Goring. Kamusta kaya ang coastal communities dyan? I know you are downtown.
Yes, Sean, the eye wall of the Typhoon Payola is now edging towards the east of Hong Kong. So, under the influence of storm surge, water level in low-lying coastals will increase rapidly tonight at 9 p.m. at 3 to 6 meters from normal tide level. Actually, the water level in Solo Harbor will reach a high water level around 6 meters near midnight, and the maximum water level may reach a historical record as per Hong Kong Observatory.
Carla, since we're talking about the wind, how are the flights? Are they all suspended? Kamusta yung aviation sector?
Sean, actually, there are already hundreds of flights. I don't have the total number, but uh, to and from Hong Kong, especially from Philippines to Hong Kong, flights were already canceled, and no one is allowed to enter Hong Kong as of now because of the strong wind.
It looks like they're shutting down, no? They shut down early. We can see the streets behind you. It's quite empty. You're in the main business district and there's no one. Anong napansin mo, Carla? Was there any panic buying? How were the supermarkets?
Actually, earlier, groceries and drugstores were open, but now the typhoon signal has been raised to signal number 9. All businesses, including groceries and convenience stores, it's a total shutdown now. But earlier, during typhoon signal number 8, the establishments like groceries and drugstores were still open, but when they raised it to signal number 9, tonight it's a total shutdown. So MTR and other public transportation are already closed.
Medyo wrong timing yung trip mo, no, Carla?
Oh, is she on vacation?
I understand.
She's on
Yes,
vacation.
yeah,
That's why.
We heard that you went there on vacation pa naman.
Okay.
Tapos-
Napatrabaho ka tuloy, Carla. No, but
Actually, yeah, naging staycation na lang yung mga to.
pero Carla, kailan ka uuwi? I mean,
Kasi
na-check
yung
mo na ba
flights,
kung
so-
kailan magbubukas ulit yung airspace?
Ang lakas ng hangin!
There you go. We're now feeling Typhoon
Uwi na
Saula.
dapat ako bukas, but nag-ano si Cebu Pacific na there's an option to cancel or to rebook, but dahil turista tayo and limited ang budget natin, sana matuloy na bukas yung flight natin pabalik ng Pilipinas.
There was news kanina that there was one flight that was able to land.
nakalusot.
Yung Ethiopian airline
Oo.
flight. And everybody was tuning into that.
Oo, baka si Carla might have to extend her staycation then.
Carla, I hope the weather clears up sooner rather than later and you make your flight. But for now, ingat
Enjoy your
muna and
staycation.
enjoy your staycation.
Thank you so much for coming to us live.
All right, that was News 5's desk editor, Carla Bonifacio.
Back here in the Philippines, Super Typhoon Goring, along with Typhoon Hana, continue to enhance the southwest monsoon, bringing heavy rains up north. Baguio City is currently experiencing intermittent rains and gusty winds due to the enhanced habagat. Fogs have become thicker than usual in the city of Pines, as you can see on your screen. Some residents have been encouraged to evacuate, especially those in landslide-prone areas.
Bigyan naman ng mga patnubay, mga advisories yung ating mga kababayan through their barangay. Kasi nga ang objective natin dito, halimbawa sa mga identified talaga natin na flood prone o kaya landslide prone, ang advice sa kanila is to preemptively evacuate. Yan. Ginagawa naman nila, actually naka-open yung ating, dito ngayon is our central evacuation area. Yan. So open naman siya.
We're also now seeing the prices of some vegetables from Benguet climbing. At the Agri-Pinoy Trading Center, prices of potatoes, carrots, and sayote jumped by 3 to 25 pesos per kilo. No price movements yet for cabbages, but authorities expect prices of more highland vegetables to increase.
Yes, that will be felt something in a month or 2 months pa ito. We actually monitor that every day kasi makita mo mataas ngayon kasi kukunti. When you ask the volume, konti yung volume na nadadalang gulay ngayon sa Bagbisi. Dala nga ng maraming nasira, kaya mataas ang presyo niya.
It's not just in Hong Kong, guys. It looks like we will be having a rainy weekend ahead as well, with the enhanced habagat still affecting most of Luzon. The southwest monsoon is currently being enhanced by 3 weather disturbances. We have Typhoon Hannah, which is inside the Philippine area of responsibility, and 2 other tropical cyclones outside the PAR with international names Saula and Kirogi. Saula, formerly known here in the Philippines as Goring, as mentioned earlier, is currently approaching Hong Kong, while Kirogi is hovering over the Pacific Ocean. And as for Typhoon Hannah, it was last spotted 710 kilometers east-northeast of Itbayat, Batanes, packing winds of up to 120 kph. Hannah is not expected to make landfall in any part of the country, and it is seen to exit the PAR on Sunday morning. Nevertheless, the enhanced habagat will continue to bring occasional rains and gusty conditions over these areas in the next 24 hours. Affected are Batanes, the Ilocos region, the Cordillera Administrative Region, Zambales, Bataan, as well as Aurora, Bulacan, Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, the Bicol region, Western Visayas, and the northern portion of Eastern Visayas. We're going to pause for a very quick break. Right after that, we will be speaking with the ICT Secretary Ivan John Uy right here in the studio about the agency's latest efforts to combat scams and improve connectivity in the Philippines. Keep it here.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Story here on One News.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology admits that text scams are still rampant. Nakakatanggap po ba kayo?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All
Me
the
too, me
time.
too. Even though millions of SIM cards have already been registered. Now, speaking to House lawmakers on Thursday, the ICT officials say they attribute the continued proliferation of text scams to syndicates. These syndicates are supposedly purchasing pre-registered SIM cards for criminal use. The agency also noted that there are new machines capable of imitating SIM cards. The DICT encourages the public to immediately report text scams.
No one better to ask all of this from than DICT Secretary Ivan John Uy, who is joining us who is here live in the studio with us. Welcome to the big story. Thanks for coming all the way here in the inclement weather.
Yes, in the rain, in the traffic.
Well, actually, there wasn't much traffic today, thankfully, but there was a lot of rain when I was coming
There was
over.
a little flooding here and there.
Sec, 118 million SIM cards registered so far. That's according to the NTC. And yet we are still getting text scams. What is going on there?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, the criminal syndicates actually are becoming innovative, and what they've been doing is they've been purchasing pre-registered SIM cards from the public, who are some of whom are willing to sell their credentials and their identity for a price.
Sec, we ran reports about that already. About a month ago, the SIM card registration closed on July 25, right?
Right.
Soon after that, the PNP was already, I think we guessed it, Colonel Fajardo, and she mentioned that this was the case, exactly that, the people were selling their registered SIM cards. But it has been a little bit over a month since then. Are we doing anything about those?
Yes, actually, we busted several criminal syndicates. And over the past month, several raids have been done. The last one being in Pasay, where we arrested 600 individuals.
600?
600 individuals with 25,000 SIM cards pre-registered. So these 600 were employed, and they were basically doing all these scams with full knowledge that they're using somebody else's credentials, texting, and with the objective of getting as much money as they can from their victims.
Have we been able to hold accountable those who are selling their credentials? Because I think it boils down to that. Walang takot yung mga tao ngayon to do that, to earn money from that.
Yes, what they probably have not been made aware of is that there are criminal penalties imposed by the law, by the SIM card registration law, as well as by our cybercrime law. So if their credentials are used to facilitate a scam, a fraud, or a criminal act, then they either become participants by indispensable cooperation, or as accessories, or as accomplices. And therefore, they can be held criminally liable. Once we start prosecuting the scammers, they would be included
So sa
in
ngayon
those.
wala pa po tayong
Napaprosecute?
prosecute.
That will be the police who after the raid, they will have to now build up the case and turn it over to the Department of Justice for proper prosecution. So that you'll have to ask the Department of Justice how those cases are coming along.
Okay, we will take note of that.
Apart from Pasay, where are these syndicates located?
All over. We raided one in Las Piñas. I think there's another one in Nueva Ecija. So they're scattered.
Are you focusing on Luzon, or are you looking at the whole country?
Most of them are actually operating Luzon.
Oh, why is that?
I think many of them actually are former POGO operations. And because POGO operations have kind of slowed down, so they shifted. So on the outside, you'd think they're still in POGO operations, people coming in and out. They have this big POGO license or whatever that they have on display. But behind the scenes, they have floors of people doing these scams.
Are the workers Chinese or Filipinos?
Of the 600, 200 were foreigners, mixture of Indians and Chinese. The Indians and Chinese are scamming their own countrymen because they speak their language. But the 400 are Filipinos working here. And what's interesting was that some of those were already actually busted in previous raids. But they were released under the pretext that they were victims of human trafficking. And they said that they did not know what they were doing, and so they were just recruited, they could not get out. But now they're arrested twice. Doing exactly the same thing.
So then can they get out under
The same
human
pretext?
trafficking?
No more. Obviously, they knew exactly what they were doing, and they applied for the same job. So they're being recycled.
Secretary, can you give us an idea for the benefit of everyone and for us to be more aware that in fact these messages we're getting are in fact a scam, what are the moduses that
Okay.
are proliferating now?
Okay. First and foremost is they give you an offer that is too good to be true. Either offer you a job, a loan, which is completely unsolicited by you. So out of the blue. Second, very often they come from numbers that you is not in your phone book. So it's not on your contact list. So if you receive calls from just numbers showing or text, just ignore them because these are most likely scammers. Third is they will entice you to put in money to an investment or to convince you to reveal your personal information. Some of them actually have initial information about you. Before they target you, they sometimes go to your Facebook account, if it's open, and they gather all your identity already. Your name, your spouse's name, your children's name. If you put your birth date, so that when they call you already by name, and then they tell you your address, they tell you your birth date. So you think they're legitimate callers from a bank, from a credit card company, or from an e-wallet company, and they ask you to update your information.
That's what happened to the son of Senator J.V. Ejercito, right? It was very public. He tweeted about it, and we actually were not able to ask him personally when he guested here, but it was all over the news. Was that what happened to his son? Was that a similar modus?
I'm not quite knowledgeable on the details, but I understand that
It was a credit card company.
yes, yes. So I think one of the modus now is that they call acting like they're the credit card company, and that they're offering either an upgrade of your credit card, increase your credit limit, or provide you with a
I
new
got a call
credit card
about
page.
that recently.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh no, but it was legitimate from
It
my
was
bank, I
it's
think.
so scary now.
You think?
So what they
No, no.
ask from you is details to be able to access your credit card?
Yes, they will now ask you certain details, and then they'll say, "Oh, we need to validate your e-wallet. We need to validate, and then if you get a one-time password, let me know what that OTP is." Then they're able to do that. Your card might be compromised. You better
it has
double
it.
check.
Secretary, the SIM registration law was crafted in order to crack down on these scams. Would you say that this body of data is what you're using now to go after yung po sa Las Piñas, sa Pasay, sa Nueva
Yes,
Ecija? So
yes.
it's what's leading to that.
Yes, actually, the SIM card registration law was very, very effective because with that, we're able to now trace the owners of the SIM cards and then go after them. So it's facilitated our law enforcement activities. By the way, I'm just curious about
You
what
worried
happened
about my
to you.
credit card? I better
Yes,
find it. Where is
because-
it? Where's my wallet?
Because what they do, they actually put you on sleeper mode, meaning after getting all your credentials, they don't act. They keep it with them for weeks or months. And then after, let's say, 2 or 3 months, nobody knows anything, then they hit all of you at the same time.
Okay.
And then hit you. That was what happened in Singapore in 2019, 2020. $600 million was
Wow.
stolen. They were harvesting everybody, but none of them had any inkling because nothing happened. After all of that, nothing happened to their credit card, nothing happened to their wallet, so everybody thought that was okay. Then during a long holiday, that was the Christmas holidays, they hit everybody at the same time.
Oh wow.
When everyone's
very
guard is down and
smart.
everyone's a bit,
Okay,
had
excuse
too
me.
much to
I better
drink.
call my bank. Can you guys excuse me?
She's panicking right now.
But you guys always tell the public to report scam incidents or phishing incidents. What happens to these complaints? We never know what happens to them. Can you walk us through the process step by step?
Okay.
If I lodge a complaint, then what happens to it?
And
So-
where do you launch a
She
complaint?
she's about to do that right after the show.
So our hotline is 1326. And when you call that hotline, first we verify the caller, make sure that they're not crank callers and that you're legitimate, that you really have an honest to goodness complaint. Then we investigate, we track whether there are similar modus or operations that was done with other people using the same methodology, whether it's credit card and all of those. So when your story links that you're not the only one, and there are others that have made the similar complaints, then we ask you more details. So, which credit card are you using? Which e-wallet account are you using? What online bank account are you using? Because with those information, we have hotlines in our team that immediately contacts those banks, immediately contacts those e-wallet providers that, okay, we have already 3 calls, all asking that money or information be sent to your bank. And so the security officer, the cybersecurity officer of that bank, of that e-wallet provider, will immediately now scan and be alert that if there are unusual movement of funds in those accounts, they will immediately put a
hold.
suspension of those accounts. So, and once they're suspended, then that could be an inconvenience to you because now you suddenly couldn't access your credit card or whatever. But it's for your own protection. And it's frozen for maybe 24 hours, 48 hours. Then somebody will call you, ask you to go to the bank to verify those information. So those are the validation mechanism.
But the big question is still whether people can get their money back, right? End of the day, that's what we're all worried about.
Yes.
That if we get scammed, who's liable?
If you get scammed because of the poor security system of the bank, then they're liable. But if you get scammed because you gave them your credentials, then they are not liable because you were the ones who gave them the keys to open your bank account.
Hard to prove bank liability, though, right? I mean, you hear of these instances wherein people get scammed, but they didn't give out their OTP, right? The credit cards were just charged, randomly.
Because if you notice, even before all these mobile phones, if your credit card gets stolen and you're able to report it immediately, then that credit card is used for other purchases. The credit card company actually reverses those charges.
In
Because
fairness, they have been doing
they
that.
do. So it's really a matter of attribution as to really where the fault was. But you really cannot blame the bank and ask them to reimburse you if you were gullible enough to give the scammer your access.
We're having some progress on this end, tech scams, but how about the fight against fake news? Do you think we can do the same thing? Or is that a little bit harder on your end?
That's harder because we need to strike a balance between fake news and freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So who decides whether that news is fake or not?
Senator Cheese Escudero wants to partner with the ICT on that.
Yes, and we'd be more than happy to work on that.
But how do
I
you
think
find that balance?
we need to do some legislation in order to help us or give us direction as to at what point who gives us the order that okay, it's ascertained that this is fake news and it has to be taken down, because that discretion cannot just be given to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Otherwise, it will stifle people's
Freedoms,
freedom
basic
to-
human rights.
Right.
Sec, I wanted to talk to you about this slightly related topic, free Wi-Fi for all. That has been a promise we have all been waiting for. Now, we do know that free public Wi-Fi is also a cautionary tale. A lot of people get hacked. I got hacked.
Totoo.
I got
Ay,
hacked
talaga?
using, sa mga airports sa Europe, doon ako na-hack.
Yes.
They hacked into my Facebook account. Luckily, they hacked it into Chinese, so I was able to still maneuver the Facebook. But in any case, how's that going to look like, and how is that looking like? Are we about to hit the goal to provide free internet?
It's quite challenging because we have a unique situation where we are an archipelago. And so we're divided into small islands, and many of those islands actually are remote, are very lightly populated, and there's really not much economic activity going on. So the telcos, they don't want to go to those islands to connect. So the government has to go there. But when the government goes there and we set up those free Wi-Fi, many of them don't have power, don't have electricity. So we provide them with solar power. Tapos ninanakaw yung solar panels.
Ninanakaw yung solar panel.
Then anong gagawin namin? They end up in the people's houses. Then putol ngayon, walang solar, tapos magreklamo sila, bakit putol yung solar, yung free wifi nila?
So-
ninakaw yung...
I-recommend ko sana yung Starlink eh. Kaya lang that also consumes
Right.
a lot of power.
Yeah, so it consumes power, and so the local government, the barangays, have to take responsibility. If we provide them with the equipment, they have to protect those equipment. They cannot expect that they will not do so, it gets stolen, and then they ask us now to replenish it. That those funds will have to go to another barangay that needs the Wi-Fi. Otherwise, we'll keep on replenishing.
Parang mga kable ng Meralco, di ba?
Exactly.
Pero sagot ng Meralco yun.
Exactly.
Since hindi
So,
sila yung-
so is there still a plan? Is there still a target to provide free Wi-Fi?
We're continuing with it.
What's the
but
target
we're now
now?
putting more responsibility on the local government units. That, okay, once we deliver this, it's your responsibility to make sure that they're protected. And if you discover that it's gone, check your neighbors. If it happens to be on the rooftop of your neighbors, then you handle that. Don't call us so that we fly all the way from Manila all the way to that remote island just to discover that, it's on the roof.
We still need to
of somebody else.
legislate that.
No, it's a criminal act actually.
It's
But,
a
I mean, it's theft.
Yeah.
No,
It's
it's infrastructure that's needed where you can use the budget on, the DICT budget on.
Right. And it's not just that. For instance, some of them without solar panels, they have generators. But with generators, they require fuel. So we deliver, okay, we'll acquire, let's say, 100 liters of fuel, transport it there. On the way, when it reaches the destination, 50 liters na lang.
Well,
Ayun na.
well, it's still good to hear that you guys are
Still trying.
to do something
Yes.
about it. I understand the challenges on the ground. For now, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time, DICT Secretary Ivan John Uy.
After this quick break, will EO39 really keep rice prices from going up further? We'll discuss this with former DEDA Chief Winnie Monson. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You are still watching the big story here in One News. Circling back to our top story today, the Marcos administration imposed a price cap on regular and well-milled rice. Will EO39 really keep rice prices from going up any further? To help us make sense of this, we have former NEDA chief and UP School of Economics professor Winnie Monsod on the line. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us tonight. I understand we had connection.
I'm sorry we had so much problems. I could not connect to you by Zoom.
That's all right. Thank you for trying anyway. So just let's get right into it. 41 pesos a kilo for regular milled rice and well-milled rice at 45 pesos a kilo. That is the new price ceiling. Will this work?
Well, I don't know whether it will. What do you mean? Will price control work?
Yes.
Apparently, this price control is going to be there indefinitely, and if it's indefinite, there's going to be a lot of problems that will come out, because the first thing a price control does is that it's a discouraging signal for supply, for production, right? And so instead of encouraging the production of rice, it will discourage the production of rice, and that will make the rice price rise even more.
Okay, Ms. Winnie, hindi po ba if the President declares a timeline for this, that would also defeat the purpose of controlling the manipulators?
No, they will. But you see, that's the whole problem. Ang problema natin sa rice daw is that meron tayong price holders and price manipulators. Hindi ba? That means people are keeping rice, warehouses, etc. Hindi ba? Hindi ba ganun yun? All right. Ngayon, meron silang programa that they're trying to open up all these warehouses. But nothing ever happens out of it, because there's so much corruption that goes on. Why is it that we have not been, if we are closing down the warehouses, ang plano kasi ng gobyerno is, and it's a very good plan, we will go to these warehouses. If they do not have the proper receipts or the proper documentation to say that these are good, we will confiscate. Ganda nun, ha? And then we will give it to the DSWD, and the DSWD can distribute it to the poor. Isn't that beautiful? Ayun ang plano nila. And yet, this happens all the time. We have this rice crisis, regularly. This happens all the time now. They blame the manipulators, and yet, when they do that, nothing ever happens. Bakit kaya? Kasi, rice is a very physical thing. You have cabans of rice, you have sacks of rice, etc. It's very hard to move that around. Hindi ba? So, if you say, all right, here is warehouse 1. We have inspected it, and we have found out na may problema. Di i-confiscate na lang gobyerno. Hindi ba? And then dadalhin yung rice na yan sa DSWD. Hindi nangyayari Kasi between the time they have photo opportunities, photo ops, inspecting all the rice there, something happens. And the rice is never confiscated. Meron ba kayong narinig na confiscate na rice?
Professor, kung ganun, everyone always says that rice is, of course, a very political crop. It is our staple. Ano ba talaga yung problema? At kung ikaw yung tatanungin bilang naging NEDA chief kayo dati, ano ba talaga ang solusyon dito?
Ito ang problema natin, ha? Number 1, yung ating low yield. We have known that for a long time. Ang yield natin ng rice, average yield ng rice natin, 3.9 metric tons per hectare. Yan ang yield natin. Ang yield sa Thailand and Vietnam is from 5 to 7. So ang baba ng yield natin. Alright? And then at the same time, our costs of production are so high. Our cost of production, ayan, alam natin lahat yan. Our cost of production is, for example, 11 to 14 pesos per kilogram of palay. And in Thailand, it's 5 to 9, and in Vietnam. So talagang may problema tayo. Alam natin kung ano yung problema. Di siyempre, ang solusyon ng problema is to make that rice yield increase and to make the production cost go down. And that is what is supposed to be done by the so-called rice
Tarification law?
Something that fund from the tarification of rice. Wala pang nangyayari. But this has been going on for so long. So there is something that is wrong with how we are doing our how we are implementing our agricultural policy. Now, Leocadio Sebastian, who is the Senior Undersecretary of Agriculture for Rice, is supposed to be a very good man. I do not know whether President Marcos is declaring a rice cap, a rice price cap, is his suggestion or not. Hindi ko alam. But I know that from experience here in the Philippines, anytime we have a rice price, anytime we have a price cap, yung price ceiling, walang nangyayari, masama ang nangyayari. In other words, we never attain our goal.
Actually, Professor, di ba, the other president known for a penchant for controlling prices is Marcos Sr., the current president's father, di ba? For instance, he started the OPSF, the Oil Price Stabilization Fund, which was supposed to cushion the rising fuel prices for consumers, pero in the end, we were just saddled with more debt.
Yeah, you know why? Because yung Oil Price Stabilization Fund, pag medyo mababa ang presyo ng oil, binababa natin yung presyo dito. Pero kung tumataas, hindi natin tinataas yung atin presyo. So that's why dumami ang utang natin for this oil price stabilization fund. But that's no good. He had price controls on paper, on newspaper. He had price controls on so many things. But I remember in the newspaper, ang nangyari, I don't know, you were not old enough to be under President Marcos's father. But ano nangyari? Yung newspaper natin, Diyos ko po, hindi mo halos makita. Pag ang dami-daming stain, hindi mo mabasa yung newspaper kasi ang nipis ng newspaper. Kasi sinabi niya, the price must remain at this price level. And so, they cannot increase the price of newspaper. They decrease the quality.
Professor,
And that is what happens when there is price control.
right. Professor, so ano yung sagot mo? Babalikan ko lang yung mga sinabi mo kanina. Mag-import na lang ba tayo? Ganun na lang
Medyo
ba?
long term kasi yun yung
Oo,
production,
yung production
and production
kasi-
cost.
Because if we increase our yield, we will not have to import. If we concentrate on increasing our yield, why can we not increase our yield from 3.9 to 5 kilograms per hectare? 5 metric tons per hectare. Di wala lang problema.
Di kaya, Prof, ang forecast kasi ng BSP sa inflation for August is somewhere between 4.8 and 5.6%. Nung July, nasa 4.7% tayo. Ano yung magiging impact nito sa inflation na napakataas na ngayong taon?
No, sweetie. No, sweetie. If you look, when you talk about inflation, you have to look at the items comprising inflation. Nakikita natin na while the overall inflation was going down, the rice price inflation was going up very slightly. And ngayon may problema tayo worldwide because India, who is the number one exporter of rice, said no more exports of rice in July. Just 2 months ago, or one and a half months ago, sabi ng India, we are not going to export rice. So the prices of rice, the price of rice exports went up. So even if we import rice, the price will be too high. Eh, tumaas ang presyo ng Vietnam exports and Thailand exports by $80 per metric ton. So, the imports is not the solution. The solution is for the Department of Agriculture to seriously get down to helping the farmers. Hindi lang yung photo opportunity na pumupunta sa rice warehouse, etc. No, you have to help the farmers. For example, we can produce up to 3 crops of rice a year if we just had better irrigation.
All of these,
if we just repair the irrigation, Ihas, these problems have been there so long, and the solutions have been there so long. So that's the problem of increasing rice yields and reducing cost of production. The problem of price manipulation and hoarding. I would think, for me, it is so simple. There you are, you go to the warehouses. Hindi mo matatago yung rice eh. Kasi it's a very bulky product, hindi ba? So you go to warehouse or you say, is this rice legal or whatever? If it's not legal, you confiscate it right away, hindi ba?
Yeah.
Bakit wala akong naririnig pagkatapos ng mga photo ops ng mga visits to the warehouses, wala akong naririnig na merong confiscation. Wala akong nababasa na yung rice na confiscated ay binigay na sa DSWD para ma-distribute sa poor.
Right.
Professor,
Professor, we hear you loud and clear. I can only hope the president is also watching tonight. We're going to have to leave it there for now because we've run out of time, but we're going to try to get you on the show again live another time. Thank you so much for your time tonight, economist and Professor Winnie Monsod.
Tama nga siya. In 1.5 years, tumaas yung rice inflation natin from 1% to 4.2%. Since $1 million question yun, no? Dito muna tayo, no, sa ating big picture tonight. Dahil it is September 1.
Oh, yeah.
First day of the Burr month.
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
Ayan na.
What is...
Oh, yeah.
Of course, an image that
my
everyone has
goodness.
seen and everyone can hear as the Burr month start. Memes of Jose Marichan have started popping up on social media. Pero guys, huwag naman tayo mag-recycle ng meme. Gawa tayo ng bago. Jose Marichan's Christmas hit songs such as Christmas in Our Hearts, A Perfect Christmas, Do You Hear What I Hear, and more have become the season's anthems in the country. Okay, ito isa pa. Another meme made by Filipinos, where Jose Marichan is waiting outside one's window ready to sing his songs. At syempre, meron din tayong Darna reference with Jose Marichan asking Dig for his microphone. And as the Burr months kick off officially, bibigay muna ni Taylor Swift ang corona kay Jose Marichan. Definitely, the longest Christmas season in the world has begun.
Oh my goodness,
Oh
I
my
can't believe it. Where has the year gone?
Jose Marichan on the show, on the big story.
Oh, kanina narinig ko siya on my way here. Nasa kay ano naman siya, Boy Abunda.
He's making his rounds.
He's
for
making his
sure.
rounds.
But we do need to feel the spirit of Christmas and need just a
Christmas cheer
reminder.
amidst all of this doom and gloom headlines,
I
you
know.
mean?
Come on, guys. Christmas na, and that's it for the show tonight.
Oh, don't forget, it's also the weekend.
Yes.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.